The arid expanses of the Middle East have historically relied on American and European defense systems to guard their airspace, but a significant shift in the global arms market has occurred over the last 3 years. The deserts of the Arabian Peninsula and the skies over Mesopotamia are now being protected by a system developed, manufactured, and engineered in the Republic of Korea. The Cheongung-2, also known as the KM-SAM Block 2, has emerged not merely as a commercial export item, but as a strategic pivot point in Seoul's diplomatic relations with the Middle East. This transition marks the evolution of South Korea from a security consumer to a critical security provider for the global energy heartland. Security dynamics in the Middle East have deteriorated rapidly since the early 2020s, driven by the proliferation of low-cost loitering munitions and cruise missiles utilized by non-state actors. Traditional high-tier defense systems like the American Patriot PAC-3 are exceptionally capable, yet they present a severe economic asymmetry. Using a kinetic interceptor costing upwards of $4 million to destroy a drone costing less than $20,000 is a financially unsustainable strategy for any military. Furthermore, the global backlog for Patriot systems has created a delivery vacuum that regional powers can no longer afford to tolerate. Into this strategic gap stepped the Cheongung-2. The system has secured a series of monumental contracts that have reshaped the order book of the South Korean defense industry. The United Arab Emirates initiated this trend in 2022 with a contract valued at $3.5 billion. This was followed by a massive $3.2 billion agreement with Saudi Arabia in early 2024. Most recently, Iraq has moved to acquire the system in a deal estimated at $2.8 billion, solidifying a continuous belt of South Korean air defense technology stretching across the region. With a cumulative backlog approaching $10 billion from the Middle East alone, the Cheongung-2 has graduated from being a domestic shield for the Korean peninsula to a primary export commodity. The preference for the South Korean system over competitors from Russia, China, or Europe is rooted deeply in technological pragmatism rather than political alignment alone. The Cheongung-2 represents a pinnacle of domestic engineering, achieving a localization rate exceeding 90%. Its core competitive advantage lies in its hit-to-kill technology. Unlike older systems that rely on blast fragmentation warheads which detonate near the target to spray it with shrapnel, the Cheongung-2 interceptor physically collides with the incoming threat. This kinetic impact delivers enough energy to completely pulverize the target, a critical capability when dealing with chemical or biological warheads, where neutralizing the payload is as important as stopping the delivery vehicle. Achieving this requires guidance systems of extreme precision, placing South Korean sensor technology on par with the most advanced tier of global defense manufacturers. Another decisive technical feature is the cold launch mechanism. In this firing sequence, the missile is ejected from the vertical launch canister by gas pressure before the main rocket motor ignites in midair. This method serves two vital purposes. First, it drastically reduces the thermal signature and potential damage to the launch vehicle and surrounding equipment, allowing for rapid reloading and sustained operations. Second, and more importantly for tactical flexibility, it enables the missile to reorient itself 360 degrees immediately after launch. This omnidirectional capability is essential in the modern battle space, where saturation attacks can arrive from any azimuth, unlike legacy systems that must mechanically rotate or be positioned toward a specific threat vector. The integration of the multifunction radar developed by Hanwha Systems further enhances this lethality. This singular radar unit is capable of simultaneous detection, tracking, and missile guidance, streamlining the logistical footprint compared to systems that require separate radar vehicles for each function. For Middle Eastern clients operating in harsh, expansive environments, this reduction in logistical complexity translates directly to higher operational availability and lower maintenance costs. The unit cost of a Cheongung-2 interceptor, estimated at approximately 1.5 billion Korean won, or roughly 1.1 million US dollars, offers a cost-to-benefit ratio that allows user nations to engage lower-value threats without depleting their strategic budget. Beyond the technical specifications, the proliferation of the Cheongung-2 serves a sophisticated diplomatic function known as security diplomacy. By supplying the primary air defense assets to the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Iraq, Seoul has effectively embedded itself into the national security architecture of these nations. This creates a relationship far deeper than transactional trade. It necessitates long-term cooperation on training, maintenance, software updates, and joint doctrine development. South Korea has effectively positioned itself as the guardian of the global energy supply chain, as these batteries now stand watch over critical oil infrastructure and major population centers. This expansion does not operate in opposition to the United States alliance, but rather complements it. Washington has increasingly encouraged its allies to share the burden of global security. As U.S. defense production lines struggle to meet the demand for high-altitude interceptors like the THAAD and Patriot, South Korean industry has stepped in to fill the medium-range niche. This interoperability is crucial. The Cheongung-2 is designed with NATO standards in mind, allowing it to integrate into a layered air defense network alongside American assets. This compatibility reinforces the status of South Korea as a key pillar in the mechanism of Western-aligned security, transforming the ROK-US alliance from a regional pact focused on North Korea into a global partnership addressing threats in the Middle East and beyond. The industrial implications for South Korea are profound. The success of the Cheongung-2 has created a robust ecosystem involving major players like LEG Next One for system integration, Hanwha Systems for radar technology, and Hanwha Aerospace for launchers and propulsion. These exports provide the capital and economies of scale necessary to fund the next generation of development. Work is already underway on the Cheongung-3 and the Long-Range Surface-to-Air Missile, or LSAM, which will target high-altitude ballistic threats, placing South Korean industry in direct competition with the most advanced tiers of the Patriot system. The narrative of the South Korean defense industry has shifted irrevocably. Decades of investment in indigenous research and development, driven by the existential threat on the peninsula, have forged a manufacturing base capable of speed, precision, and volume that few nations can match. The Cheongung-2 is no longer just a shield for the blue skies of Seoul. It has become the sentinel of the desert, proving that South Korean technology is robust enough to serve as the backbone for the defense of partners worldwide. This export success validates a national strategy that views defense capability not just as a means of survival, but as a premier instrument of foreign policy and economic growth.